All right, this is clarity about fear, shame, shyness, and courage. And it's going to involve confidence as well. We're going to talk a little bit about confidence in the background somewhere here. And the first thing actually is we're going to talk a little bit about confusion, because the whole point of talking about clarity is that many people begin with some ignorance or even confusion, where they have mistaken presumptions and ideals impairing their clarity. So with regard to confusion, the first thing I thought of to mention would be like a group of predators like jackals or hyenas, wild dogs that will approach from many directions. They're making a lot of, at some point they get close enough and make a lot of noise, and it's very confusing as they then charge in. You've got all these different directions where the sounds are coming from. There's no clear point of escape, so it's disorienting, it's surprising, it's all of those things. So there's times when actually confusion is cultivated. So some predators thrive on confusion. They cultivate new confusions. They identify old confusions to exploit their prey. That's also possible. So I don't really have anything specific to think of right there, but just it would be of interest if say there's a detective like with the Central Intelligence Agency or something, some kind of really high-ranking law enforcement detective, and they're interviewing somebody where they're going to be listening for where people's presumptions, where their confusions, and so on, and they may use that to exploit people in order to try and get people to give a what's that called? To turn in their their collaborators or whatever, to tell on other people. So it's just this whole context of being interested in where people aren't clear, using that against them, and then also creating confusion. So that's, I guess, probably the simplest way to put it. Look at where people are not clear, and then also add to confusion sometimes. So some predators or other people may confuse intentionally and manipulate others through promises of future reward, as well as subtle intimidation and exploiting insecurities. And as I was reading that, I was thinking again of the investigator or the detective or whatever. They promise future reward. Now they may fulfill on those promises, they may not, but they make threats, they make promises, sometimes subtle, sometimes direct. Sometimes they keep the threats and promises, sometimes they don't, but they make them as part of their manipulations. So one of the most popular confusions in modern times, I'll say that again. One of the most popular confusions in modern times is the idea that fear is dangerous. Even more broadly, that emotions are dangerous, or there's such a thing as an inherently negative emotion in the sense that it's never useful. There are certainly emotional responses that are more or less functional. We could even say dangerous or safe. But the idea that fear itself is dangerous is ridiculous. So the next thing I want to refer to is clarity about fear. What is it? Fear is the perception of danger. So is it useful to perceive danger? Say you're driving down a highway and you hear a honking and you see a siren from the ambulance or whatever, and you see, wow, they're coming really fast, and you're seeing the red light, but you're seeing they're coming through the red light. Well, you want to perceive the danger of that emergency vehicle approaching at a high speed and so on. You want to know. If you have a little response of fear, fright, cortisol, adrenaline all those, testosterone, all those kind of things, that's healthy in certain contexts. In most contexts, that's healthy. So perception of danger, that's what fear is. Perceptions can be imprecise or even quite inaccurate, so it's functional to have an accurate perception of danger. So we want to be clear about what is dangerous and what isn't. That means to accurately identify real dangers as dangerous. For instance, to fail to identify initial indicators of danger can be catastrophic. So if you don't see the brake lights in the car in front of you, and you're just noticing, wow, I'm getting a lot closer to that car in front of me, then it's more dangerous than if you actually see the brake lights from a distance, notice that, or looking for that, know what that means, and slow down or get out of that lane or whatever. And obviously, it's, we can count on signals of danger, like, well, I'm counting on the tail lights or the brake lights to come on. If they're not coming on, I'm going to presume that car is not hitting its brakes or not slowing down. Well, that's stupid. That's dangerous. If you can see that your car is getting, your vehicle's getting signals of danger, but you do pay attention to them. Is it possible for somebody to be tapping their brakes or whatever where they're not really slowing down much? Yes, but it's better to have a signal of danger where you respond with a little caution than to not be noticing a real danger. So it's also important to accurately identify safe things as safe. Again, that's actually less important than to identify dangerous things as dangerous, but it's also really useful to accurately identify safe things as safe. So what's the real issue with fear? And this is where we're going to get into shyness, which has to do with a fear of other people perceiving me to be afraid. Then I'm shy, or I'm ashamed, or I'm anxious, or I'm paranoid. I don't want people knowing whether or not I'm afraid, or if I'm ongoingly afraid in general. I don't want people to know. So I'm going to make that into a separate video. Clarity about shyness will be next.